Our next presenter is Betsy Goodrich, sustaining a threatened tree species in the wake of a century-old mistake. Her advisor is Kristen Waring. Betsy.
Sometimes, as humans, we make mistakes. I know, it's hard to believe, but it's true. Today I'd like to tell you a story about a mistake that was made over a century ago, but we still see the repercussions of it in our forests today. In 1910, a shipment of young trees, or seedlings, was imported into Western North American forests. What no one knew at the time was that these seedlings were infected with a fungus that was then passed on to our native white pines. This fungus causes a disease called white pine blister rust, and you can see why it's called that from the photo on the left. Now, white pines can grow to be some of the oldest living trees on Earth. They have large, nutritious seeds that are a food source for many animals, and they perform important ecosystem services, such as retaining snowpack on the top of mountains where they often grow. Some species of white pines have been considered for threatened or endangered species lists, in part because of this fungus. Here in the Southwest, we have our own species of white pine, and it's aptly named Southwestern white pine. We want to maintain healthy populations of Southwestern white pine in our forests. One way to do that is by increasing the amount of young trees, or regeneration, in our forests, because this raises the probability that this species will be a component of future forests. I study regeneration ecology using a combination of field and greenhouse studies. We've surveyed forests throughout Arizona and New Mexico with the goals of understanding where white pine regenerates, where it grows most robustly, how this disease has affected regeneration numbers, and if there are any specific forest management treatments that can help maintain the species on the landscape. My research shows that this disease is reducing healthy numbers of white pine regeneration in our forests, but there are specific forest management treatments that open up the forest canopy, like the photo you see in the middle, by removing the majority of large, non-white pine species, and this creates ideal conditions for healthy, disease-free white pine regeneration to thrive. I also use greenhouse studies to determine how seedlings from all over the Southwest will grow under different conditions. We now know which populations have the potential to grow the largest, the fastest, and which might die the quickest when we water stress them. This information will be important because we want to outplant seedlings to areas that are affected by this disease. We now know which populations we can move, how far we can move them, and how they might behave in a new site condition. So we can't change the mistake that was made a century ago when this fungus was introduced. But we can combine sound science and forest management to help maintain this species on our landscape. And by doing that, we can start to envision a more sustainable future for Southwestern white pine. Thank you.